Hello, welcome to the Thursday, January 10th, 2019 edition of the SANS Internet Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich and today I'm recording from Jacksonville, Florida. Now, TLS has really had a real good run over the last couple of years, but one area where it's still somewhat lacking is internal websites and development websites. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Now, first of all, these websites are rightfully so not exposed to the public. So tools like Let's Encrypt, for example, are a little bit tricky to use in these cases. The other reason is you may not necessarily want to expose these particular host names and such you're using to public certificate authorities, because that may end up with them showing up in certificate transparency logs. So the obvious solution here is to set up your own certificate authority. Now, there are solutions for that, but none of them are really all that intuitive and easy to use. Well, Filippo Valsorda now came up with a new tool that should make that easier. He calls the tool MakeCert. When you install it, it automatically creates an internal certificate authority for you. And then it's really just a simple command line to create random certificates that are signed with this internal certificate authority. Of course, all users of the particular site have to trust that certificate authority. But again, for internal websites that aren't publicly accessible, for development websites, that shouldn't really be a big problem and makes actually testing in some cases easier, because you don't really have to change in the configuration as you move code live. So the real new part here is how easy it is to use the tool. It doesn't have a lot of options, but that's kind of the point of this particular tool. Now, face recognition in order to unlock your phone has been popular for a few years now. Of course, more recently, Apple sort of went all out on that, but it has been well known that a lot of the face recognition implementations aren't really all that good. A Dutch organization, the Consumentenbond, has come up now with a test where they ran about, I think, 50 different smartphones through a simple test where they tried to unlock them using nothing but a photo. Well, it turned out that about 37% of the smartphones were unlockable with a simple photo. They also published a list of which smartphones are easier or more difficult to fool. And apparently there are a couple where you can actually adjust how strict the facial recognition is. If you ever tried myself, I did some tests with that a couple of years ago. And what I found is that actually what works best is if you have a picture that's displayed from another device, like a tablet or a phone, instead of printing it out. Printouts usually change the colors too much, where they don't really work very well. And Google announced that its famous 8888 DNS server now also supports DNS over TLS. DNS over TLS is one of those emerging technologies that's supposed to help with users' privacies. So in particular, of course, for mobile devices where you're connecting to various networks, that's kind of a nice idea. Now, DNS over TLS uses port 853, not port 53 as normal DNS. And what may happen is if port 853 is blocked, the device will automatically fall back to port 53 and send DNS queries in the clear. So I wouldn't absolutely trust it, but yes, it does add another layer that hopefully will protect your privacy somewhat, unless of course you're worried about Google knowing already too much about you. Now they will also know your DNS queries. There are a number of alternatives, of course, to Google's DNS servers if you want to use DNS over TLS. This is also different from DNS over HTTPS, which apparently isn't supported yet by 8888, but Google has other servers that do support this protocol. And if you're having issues with Windows 7, it may be due to Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes released an update this weekend, version 361 CU10508, that apparently has an issue with Windows 7 and may freeze up the system. There is a support article by Malwarebytes that will walk you through how to resolve this issue. And German police is trying something different and new in publishing a MAC address that they believe is associated with an individual that recently blackmailed DHL. Now, essentially, they're asking for people to look out for this MAC address in their router logs. Apparently, the individual is known to connect to public and open Wi-Fi hotspots. Well, that's it for today. Thanks again for listening. And if you have a couple seconds, then why not leave a good review at whatever podcast platform you're using, or tweet or let a friend know about this podcast. Thanks, and talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.